hands are cold.
What? There's a mysterious disease that makes people turn violent? And it was created in a lab overseas? And the Associated Press is shilling some pharma miracle drug? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna have to deplatform you for spreading misinformation, bud. Eternights is Persona meets Nier. Although much like Yandere Simulator, it doesn't do either quite well, but more on that later. For $30, you shouldn't expect the world, but I would at least like to get past the opening cutscene without the game just giving up. Yeah, the screen was blank for a whole 5 minutes before I decided to close the application and try again. Not a good first impression, I'll say. And speaking of sour first impressions, our protagonist and his oversexed best friend are making dating app profiles.
Everybody does it. Look at me.
So cool, it's scandalous.
Being the main character, of course our guy has zero interest in it, probably because his heart already belongs to a pink-haired pop star named Yuna. No relation to the bread VTuber. And they spelled it wrong. The two start swiping away, but alas, life is unfair, and 0 matches later, the two call it for the day. We walk around our apartment, which has a passing resemblance to the one in Tax Haven 3000, and then go to bed. Wouldn't it be neat if the game takes place shortly after Tax Haven 3000? Although I guess that would mean things didn't quite work out with Iris. But enough headcanon. Our guy Chani makes us download another dating app. This one boasts a personality test, but unfortunately your choices don't really matter, as you'll always end up matching with a strange lady. She's incredibly forward, which would usually indicate it being some kind of badger trap, but since this is a video game, I'm sure it's totally innocuous. Next morning, we get ready for our date, but then the world ends. Also, a running theme with this game is that the cutscenes ungracefully end right in the middle of the animation. It feels like your impatient cousin is skipping the last part of the scene, but that's just the game being weird. Anyway, we enter this luxurious bunker, which is so incredibly spacious it doesn't feel real. There's no way FEMA would ever treat its guests to such worldly luxuries as a clean private room with a TV and microwave. But then again, they've apparently locked us in here, so maybe it's more realistic than I initially gave it credit for. After 3 days of staring at the ceiling, the general chaos outside breaks the door down and we venture outside to explore what remains of society.
I can't believe we're leaving our room. Okay, dude. Just be ready to run if you hear anything, okay?
We crash into 2 other survivors, which is impossible because either side would have heard the other's footsteps and stopped running before the collision. I mean, Chani was talking about hearing footsteps just 10 seconds ago. Turns out one of them is Yuna, not Nini, who Chani is a big fan of. Kinda reminds me of the dynamic between Rise and Yosuke from Persona 4, but in this case Chani is wholly unlikable.
He said, Johnny, I would rather lose myself in your eyes.
We get our bearings, comment on her hard head, and then resume running for our lives. We run into a police officer and ask him for help, but unfortunately he's American, and so we enter a chase sequence where we hold shift to run. And then the game asks us if we want to hide in a locker with our best friend or some random stranger that we just met. Obviously I chose Chani, but strangely enough, Yuna brings up this later in an almost accusatory tone.
Wait, actually, why did you choose to hide with Chani?
What, you wanted some rando to hop in the locker with you?
No, that's not... Shut up!
Afterwards, we run into the lady from the opening cutscene, and she slices our arm off. Rude. Which makes us enter the Velvet Room, where we get the rundown of what's going on.
Don't you want to be the hero that saves the world?
We wake back up with a glowing arm and start fighting the monsters. This brings us into the combat. It's nothing to write home about. Actually, it's one of the more frustrating things about the game. You have a very close range attack, and you have a dodge. The attack only connects when you're inches away from the enemy, and the dodge works about 20% of the time. The other remaining 80%, you'll get hit in the middle of the dodge animation, or the game won't even register that you hit the dodge button. The game tries to be Nier Automata with the perfect dodge system, but much like companies who try to be the Amazon of their industry, they fail miserably. Enemies will stack hits on you as you try to dodge their attacks, and you'll struggle to be close enough to hit back. Honestly, sometimes it feels like the game is cheating. Enemies with shields will block your every attack until you execute a perfect dodge, at which point you can then start wailing on them. Then there's the boss enemies, which have an unmoving health bar and require you to execute a series of QuickTime events in order to defeat. How do you activate the QuickTime event? You need to build up this circle meter until you see the L2 button. Then, lock onto the boss, select an elemental, and pray that you mash the square button fast enough for the game's liking. I can't tell you how many times I'd get this far only for nothing to happen. If you're here just for the Persona elements, then set the difficulty to easy and just white-knuckle the combat sections like you're playing the night levels of Sonic Unleashed. Back to our main trio. Yuna gets a sus text asking her for control of her social media account, and blindly accepts. Meanwhile, Chani gets a text ad for gamer pills and clicks on it without thinking. Not the smartest, I'll say.
So, what do you usually eat for breakfast?
Back when I was in college, I used to have oatmeal for breakfast, but after entering the workforce, I've generally only had tea. That text message somehow hacks the train, and we derail. Thankfully though, everyone's fine, even though the train's not. And we continue onwards.
Oh, you think you're better than the train because you have powers?
Our bud Chani gets jealous of us, and starts to act like Junpei from the Love Hotel arc of Persona 3.
So, you're the hero again, huh? Shut up!
That is, until Yuna tells him to knock it off. We continue onwards until we hit a dead end,
Really?
and then get rescued by a lady piloting a drone. She takes us to another train, conveniently, and explains to us the situation. There's a wall, and Mexico paid for it, but it's kinda in the way and needs to be torn down. Drone Lady gives us a deadline to take down the wall, which introduces us to the calendar system. Much like Persona 4 and 5, you need to balance deepening bonds with your teammates and spending time progressing through the dungeon. Luckily, on easy mode, you can realistically clear each dungeon in one day, leaving you with more time to spend with Yuna Notnini. And spend time with her you will! In addition to hanging out for rank ups, you have the option of practicing your breathing in front of girls,
It's okay. I know I take guys' breath away.
or running errands at the convenience store. You also have the compulsion to watch her iron and get dressed. That's an important plot point, it'll become relevant later. Once the first dungeon is finished, the wall crumbles and we're left fumbling in midair. Luckily, we remember how good Yuna looked while getting dressed, and we transform our magic arm in the shape of her underwear. See, I told you the peep shot was important.